If you're a first-time homebuyer in Canada, then I have some amazing news for you. You are eligible for free money in the form of tax rebates through something that is called the FHSA. Now, you might have already heard about this account by now. Fair enough, it's been out since 2023. However, it remains the single best tool that a first-time homebuyer has, and it's not even close. The reason I call this free money is pretty simple. I mean, quite frankly, this account gives you an edge that just simply did not exist before 2023. Now, before we jump into the video, I want to make one thing very clear. I gain absolutely nothing from you actually going to open your FHSA. There's nothing sponsored about this video. There is no links, no referral links anywhere in this video or description, and I'm not pushing any lender in specific. I make these videos to help Canadians better understand their finances and real estate related topics. And of course, it helps me build my credibility and my business in the long run. If you're new here, my name is Alex. I'm a licensed realtor here in Eastern Ontario, and I also make videos on Canadian real estate and finance. If that's the kind of content that you'd like on your feed, be sure to hit the subscribe button. So with all that being said, let's break down how this account actually works, how to use it properly, and the mistakes that you absolutely need to avoid. Let's jump in. Let's start with what the FHSA actually is. So FHSA is an acronym and it stands for First Home Savings Account. The purpose of the First Home Savings Account is to help first-time buyers save for a down payment inside the account. Now, what makes this one the clear favorite out of all the other options? You could use the TFSA, a non-registered account. The reason this one becomes the clear favorite is because its main purpose is to help you save for a down payment. And the way that it does that is it incentivizes you to contribute by giving you a tax deduction on all of your contributions that you never have to reimburse. That is huge. That's massive. It's never happened before. It's essentially a hybrid between the RRSP on the way that it treats money coming into the account and a TFSA on the way that it treats money exiting the account. Like I said, contributions are tax deductible like in the RRSP. So tax deductible simply means it lowers your taxable income, or another way to say it, it simply lowers the amount of income that actually gets taxed. I'm going to cover this more in depth in just a little bit. Now, qualifying withdrawals are completely tax-free, just like in the TFSA. And unlike in the RRSP Home Buyers Plan, you never have to reimburse any of your withdrawals made from the FHSA. And if you're unfamiliar with the RRSP Home Buyers Plan, really simply put, it's a interest-free loan that you are making to yourself with the cash or the investments or the total sums that you have inside the RRSP up to a limit of $60,000. But the key here is that you have to reimburse it over 15 years. Now, in contrast with the FHSA, there is no repayment needed whatsoever at any point, meaning that you get to benefit from the tax deduction and you never have to pay it back. That is huge. That is amazing news for first-time buyers. Now let's talk about who qualifies for the FHSA. And in order to qualify, you must satisfy 3 requirements. 1, you must be over 18 years of age, or 19 in certain provinces where that's the age of majority. You also have to be less than 71 years old. 2, you must be a Canadian resident. And 3, this one can be a little bit confusing. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. You did not live in a qualifying home as your principal place of residence that either you owned, you jointly owned, or your spouse owned, either in this calendar year or the previous 4 calendar years. So what does that mean? So there's 2 ways to go about this. Let's say you own a rental property and you've never occupied it as your principal residence. Either you also rented something else or you lived with your parents in the meantime. Then you are still eligible for the FHSA even though you own a piece of real estate. On the other hand, let's say you did occupy a property that either you own, jointly owned, or that your spouse owned. You can choose to either rent it out right now, sell it, but you have to wait 4 full calendar years before you'd become eligible for the FHSA again, assuming that you didn't use it the first time around. That's because you can only use the FHSA to buy a single property in your lifetime. Now let's talk about the contribution rules. So you can contribute up to $8,000 per year, up to a lifetime maximum of $40,000. Keep in mind, these are fixed amounts, and these are the fixed amounts since the account came out in 2023. Now, of course, inflation will affect the prices of homes and the prices of, quite frankly, everything over time. So you could probably expect these numbers to change somewhere in the future, but as of right now, this is what we have. You have to be keeping track of how much you put inside this account because there are over contribution penalties, just like in all the other registered accounts in Canada. The CRA will charge a 1% penalty per month on the excess until it's corrected. And sometimes you only receive the notification a few months after the fact. It is very important that you keep track of your deposits yourself. Don't rely on the banks or the CRA to tell you when you've passed the limit. Keep track of it yourself. There are two incredibly important features that you must know about the FHSA. Number one is your contribution room starts accumulating only when the account is open, not when you turn 18. That is a huge distinction between the TFSA and the FHSA, because the TFSA contribution room begins the moment you turn 18. And the FHSA contribution room begins only in the year that you open the account, even if you don't use it. And that brings me to the second most important feature inside the first home savings account, and that is your unused contribution room actually gets carried forward into the following year up to $8,000 per year. So for example, let's say you open the account in November 2026 and you've contributed absolutely nothing in that year. As early as January 1st, 2027, you can now contribute up to $16,000, which is $8,000 for 2026 and $8,000 for 2027. Now let's talk about the tax deduction in depth. This is where the real value is. I mean, every dollar that you contribute into this account reduces how much taxes you pay, which is huge, especially if you're a salaried employee and you're already paying taxes on every pay stub. Let's say, for example, you make $80,000 per year and you contributed $8,000 in that year. So your taxable income goes from $80,000 to $72,000. And like I said, if you're a salaried employee, well, you're being deducted taxes directly at the source. So when you get paid, which means when you get to tax time, this tax deduction produces a refund of roughly $2,500, but this will vary by the province that you live in. So here's a pro tip. You take the $2,500, you put it right back into your FHSA in the following year. Now you're just missing $5,500 to max out your FHSA for that year, which is just about $105 a week. And for someone who's either renting something cheap in the meantime before they buy their house, or they're living at home with their parents, this is super achievable. And here's a much lesser known rule. I don't see anybody else talking about this in their FHSA videos, but you don't have to claim the tax deduction in the same year that you actually made the contribution. You could actually defer the deduction to a future tax year. This is incredibly useful, especially if you expect to be in a higher tax bracket in a later year, because the deduction is going to be worth far more against a higher income. So how long does the account actually stay open? Well, the account's going to stay open until whichever one comes first. Either 15 years after opening the account, so you have the 15-year rule, or December 31st of the year that you turn 71, or the third and final outcome is that the year after making your qualifying withdrawal. So if one of these three occur prior to you purchasing a home, then the entire balance, including all investment growth, will transfer to your RRSP completely tax-free with no effect on your RRSP contribution room. So however, you don't get a second tax deduction when this money gets transferred over, because you've already got the tax deduction when you put it into the FHSA. But there's a pretty important note to make here, and it's that you've essentially created free RRSP contribution room. Right? This is room that you didn't have before. So had you started contributing to the RRSP with the full intent of using the home buyers plan, you never used the FHSA, you would not have this extra contribution room in your RRSP when it's all said and done. Because you started with the FHSA and you use this FHSA contribution room, never affected your RRSP contribution room ever. And whether or not you actually bought a house, it's just going to transfer over to your RRSP, which you can still use the home buyers plan at that point or not. Completely up to you. But the point is, it doesn't affect your RRSP contribution room whatsoever. This is why the FHSA versus RRSP home buyers plan is not even a fair debate. It's not a debate at all. The FHSA is the clear winner by a mile. Now let's talk about what you can actually hold inside the account. So you see, the FHSA is just the account. It's like the TFSA, RRSP, RESP. These are all just the accounts. Yes, you can leave your money in cash. Of course you could do that. It actually surprised me how many people actually didn't know that you can invest the cash that is inside these accounts. And you absolutely should, especially if your timeline permits it. In all registered accounts, you can invest in things like stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, bonds, or you could leave it in cash. You could also go into some GICs. The best way to find out what investment is best for you is simply by answering this question: when will I be using this money? So what you're doing is you're answering your time horizon. If you're buying in the next 1 to 2 years, you should absolutely keep it risk-free. Either keep it in cash or a 1 to 2 year fixed rate GIC. What you need in this period is certainty. You don't need growth. I mean, if you're thinking about buying your house in the near future, you already have the money. But if you're buying in the next 3, 4, 5, or even more years, that's where you should consider investing in order to outpace inflation and also give your money an opportunity to grow, because if not, you're just letting cash sit inside an account, which is going to be losing to inflation. This amount for your down payment will not be growing at the same rate that the prices of homes are going to be growing. Make sure to match the investment to your timeline, especially when your timeline changes over time, because a market drop right before closing or right before when you need the cash, I mean, it can shrink your down payment when you can least afford it. It's really not worth it. Now let's talk about withdrawals. Withdrawals are completely tax-free in the FHSA as long as you're using it to purchase a qualifying first home. What does that mean? It just means that you are going to be moving in within 1 year and you're going to be occupying it as your principal residence. You'll have to complete the FHSA withdrawal form that can be simply found online. I'll even leave a link to it in the description below. Then you have to send it over to your FHSA provider. If you use the cash inside the account for anything else, it will be taxed as income, just like the RRSP withdrawals are. So here's a little bonus tip. If you have the means to do it, you could combine the FHSA with the home buyers plan from the RRSP. Couple things you need to know. So home buyers plan, you could get up to $60,000 from your RRSP, but you have to reimburse it. The FHSA, you could go up to $40,000 before any investment growth. Now those two amounts combined gives you up to $100,000 towards a down payment. Again, that is before including any investment growth from the FHSA. Now just know you don't have to max both, but it is available if you have the means necessary. Now, a few practical numbers or a summary to remember. So your annual contribution limit in the FHSA is $8,000 per year. Your lifetime contribution limit is $40,000 and your max carry forward per year is $8,000 of any unused contribution room in a previous year. You can also combine the home buyers plan and the FHSA to get up to $100,000 plus any growth in the FHSA. And the over contribution penalty is 1% per month on any excess inside the FHSA. Just be sure that you are tracking how much you put into the account. Now let's talk about the common mistakes that you need to avoid. Mistake number 1 is waiting to open the account until you are ready to contribute. Listen, open the account right now. Even if you have nothing to put into the account, like I said, your unused contribution room will carry forward into the following year up to $8,000 per year. Mistake number 2 is if you know that you're buying in the long term and you're leaving the full down payment sitting entirely in cash. You are missing out on growth. That is a huge opportunity wasted. And on the other hand, brings me to mistake number 3, and that is investing a down payment if you need it in the next 1 to 2 years, especially if you're investing it in anything volatile. That is so much unnecessary risk that could lead to a devastating turn of events. You just don't need to be doing that. Keep it in cash. Mistake number 4 is forgetting to claim the deduction or not realizing that you can actually delay it strategically. Remember, the CRA is not eager to help you, okay? If you missed out on this deduction, if you missed out on a tax reimbursement, they will not be quick to phone you and tell you that you missed out on this. Make sure that you either have an accountant or that you know what you're doing when you're filing your taxes. Mistake number 5 is not combining the FHSA with the home buyers plan when you have the necessary means to do so, especially when the extra room is very attainable. With that, that's the full breakdown of the FHSA for 2026 and going into 2027. Like I said, if you're eligible for the FHSA and you haven't opened one yet, there's really no reason to be waiting. The account is completely free. You can open it now and any unused room carries forward to the following year up to $8,000 per year. So if you liked the video or even got some value out of it, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. It is the best way to return the favor to me. I would really appreciate it. And before you head out, YouTube thinks you're gonna love this video right here. Maybe go check it out.